Well, Tuesday on the Rick Corey Sports Special means it's time for this gentleman right here, Antonio Graham, probably the happiest coach in all of the state of Oklahoma. He doesn't smile that much, but when he does, I know it's when he's 6-0, which they just are after a big win. This is sponsored, by the way, by Tulsa Accident Care Center. Their car right there. We'll tell you more about
hmm
them just a little bit later on. No accident what you guys did, a 55-0 win, and I mean just jumped on these guys immediately. Obviously, you were doing a lot of things well right then. You got to be pleased. What are you thinking?
Yeah, man. When you playing the first West Side team and they're traveling to you guys, and we understand that, first road trip and those guys are coming to the east side of the game. And, I just know how hard it is to travel these days with this new generation of kids and how you can handle it. So it's important for us to jump on teams real fast whenever they're traveling. And obviously it'd be vice versa this week. But we knew we had to get a fast start, for them having a long bus ride. And hopefully that played a little effect into it. So we were able to get a fast start. It kind of threw me off. They received the ball. We got on defense and we get a good 3-and-out start. And then we score in the first play of the game. And so I couldn't have a better, faster start than that.
Jaden Hall, 74 yards on play number one. We talked about your cadre of running backs last week because
hmm
you guys are just lousy with running backs. You got them everywhere, and they're all really good players. And I don't know. Sometimes I talked about not enough balls to go around, but you said these guys have been pretty happy splitting time. How do you get them to stay that way?
Just let them know what's important, Rick. I just like, man, when you got special young men like Takari Beto and Noah Hill and Julius Wilson, those guys on the outside, and then whenever you can rotate running backs, like that is tough for defensive coordinators to defend. And so I kind of let them know that um it can't be selfish at the end of the day. The millions best players that we can put out there, and it's going to be harder for teams to defend us and things like that, Rick. And so I just let them know that you never win state championships with one guy. It's impossible. You got
Mhm.
to be a team. You got to have multiple good players, and also you got to be able to get along and understand that it takes a brotherhood and a special bump. And so, excuse me, takes a special bond with that. So, anyways, I'm just trying to get those guys to understand that as well.
Well,
So,
and they obviously
um,
have gotten the message. There's no question. I mean, at least they play like they're always happy. Of course, when you're winning games, it's a little bit easier. 55-0, as I said. So your defense didn't give up anything. And it's a team that came in, they weren't, I mean, they were 2-3, I believe, coming in 2-4 at this point.
yeah, they're
So
2-0
how,
in district.
yeah, how dominant were you defensively? I mean, obviously with the shutout, you didn't let them have much, but I mean, was it as good as it sounds?
Yeah, it was. We obviously our kids prepared really well. They have some great athletes. Their quarterback was a very mobile guy. We did a really good job of kind of keeping him in the pocket, and because he's so mobile, Rick, we had to make sure that when he does throw the ball, that he's not throwing it balanced. That he wasn't able to set his feet or whatever. So we made sure we kind of kept guys in his face and stuff like that. We had 5 turnovers defensively. And anytime that you can get on defense, anytime you get more than 3 turnovers, you got a good chance of winning the game.
Yeah.
And my message has been to the defense is that you got to outplay the opponent's defense. So if they get a 3-and-out, you got to get a 3-and-out. So, and I just keep on reminding them, outplay the opponent, outplay your opponent's defense. Like, hey, if they get a turnover, you go get you one. And so that's kind of been our motto: bend it, don't break, get the guy on the ball on the ground, and now we're not perfect at all defensively, but the effort and attitude and the aggressive is definitely there for sure. So we just kind of continue to improve on that.
Well, at 55-0, that's pretty close to perfect. Now, everybody in football has a turnover something. They have a turnover chain, a hat, or like a tee. They've got a turnover trash can.
hmm
You have a turnover thing?
No, man, that's just kind of the standard around here. Rick, I'm kind of that old school guy that grew up on the SPAV. That's just the expectations that we have here at the Owasso. Now, I don't get it. Like what I do, give out a bunch of candy on Sundays now. Like you get a turnover, you get the big old candy bars. I throw those out like there's no tomorrow. Like they almost broke me this past week. So yeah, but that's just kind of the expectation that you know for you to get, for us to win ball games, then do we want to do special? Let's go create turnovers. We work on it every day. at practice. And so let's just make those drills come to life. And so that's the expectation here. And yes, you do get rewarded, and because I do think that a kid should get rewarded as well. And so, but that's kind of not me a little bit, But hey, but whatever get these jokers go get turnovers, if that what it takes in the future, I may have to go change that way. So
Whatever it takes, man. If it takes Reese's, it's Reese's, right?
right now the Reese's cups and Snicker bars are working.
There you go.
So
Takari Bethel, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns. We saw we knew the talent coming in, but he seems to have gotten more and more and more comfortable. Is it a series now or sense now from you that maybe he's just kind of completely integrated himself into the team and the game, and maybe that's why it's going even better?
yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that has to do with him and Drew, the little timing that they put in together. And I think that he's getting comfortable. He's a great young man. He's very football IQ is very smart. I think that's where he has a huge advantage over a lot of people, that he knows the game very well. He's always well prepared, and you can tell that he's put a lot of time with him and Drew, and that's why I tell receivers, if you want to kind of get on the good scale with the quarterback, go out there and throw some extra balls to him. And but not only that though, like he's special. I think they all put in time with Drew. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's very dangerous. And so he just kind of made things happen for himself. But I think that there's still more to come with him. The good thing about Takari that I love that people don't recognize, the kid is a very, very physical blocker, like on the perimeter. I think he's very underrated at his blocking skills. And if you ever get a chance, Rick, you got to check him out, because I think that's his favorite thing to do. He would stick his face. It reminds me a little bit of Shamari Brooks, how he would just go out there and put his face in kids and block his tail off. So he does a really good job on that. And so that just tells you right there that he's not selfish, that, he don't mind blocking for his teammates. He's a team player as well.
Yeah, when you say that it's like Shamari Brooks, that's pretty high praise. But I did
Hmm.
notice in the film, in a game against Union, I watched him and saw that he did all those things. And I'm glad you brought up Drew Frankenfield, 259, 5 touchdowns, 16 throws, 5 touchdowns. It's a pretty good ratio right there.
Hmm.
Again, for him, we saw the talent early, but I was even more impressed when I saw him in person. Is he continuing to grow into that role as well? And do you see continued improvement there?
Oh yes, there ain't no doubt. I challenge our offensive staff, you know, be picky, be as more picky as you can, because like I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Rick. Human nature tells you that you shouldn't you don't have to get any better anymore
Right.
because you're 5-0, 6-0. But I'm just telling our kids, that I'm telling our coaches, that don't be satisfied with what we're doing right now. You got to coach even harder right now, because they don't think that, that they have to get better. So Dane is doing a really good job of staying on top of Drew. He has grown a lot since week 0, and he's going to continue to get better. But Drew is also a very, very student of the game, and I think Dane coaches it. Dane does it in a way where Drew can understand it a lot better than I can, and so I let them do their thing. It's like the old linemen and the quarterbacks there. They kind of got their own little thing going on, and so I just let them do their thing. And so I kind of started away. But yes, I know for a fact he'd tell you that he can improve a lot more. And Dane would make sure he does that. And so he just got to continue to get better.
Well, you just mentioned two groups. You got Morrissey with one, you got Dame with the other group. You got two pretty good coaches right there.
Absolutely.
We'll get into Edmond Memorial here in a second. First of all, I want to remind you and say thank you to Tulsa Accident Care Center for being our sponsor for Coach Graham. See the little car right here with the Accident Care Center logo in there. Putting it on there carefully. That way, if it falls off, you know. Now, when I say Tulsa Accident Care Center, what most people will think is that's for cars. Well, it's not. It's for after, say, a car accident, and you've had one of those situations where you go get PT somewhere and you go see your doctor and you go somewhere else for your, maybe see some kind of provider, maybe you go somewhere else for physiotherapy, any of those things, but you can do it all in one place at Tulsa Accident Care Center. And here's what's cool. They're in Broken Arrow, Owasso, and Tulsa. They do it all, no matter what. It's a one-stop spot. So if you ever unfortunately are in a car accident, you go one place and you can get everything done. Providers there, dry needling, you name it. It's all there in 3 locations. You can look them up at tulsaaccidentcarecenter.com. All right, so this Edmond Memorial team, 5-1, and a lot of times those teams in the West would start and beat each other, and we'd think, well, how good are they? And then you'd find out they weren't very good in the West. Teams are better over there. You saw a decent Westmore team, even though you beat them nicely. This Edmond Memorial team is 5-1. What's impressive to me is in their wins, they've only given up 26 points. What are they doing so
Hmm.
well defensively?
I think they're multiple defensively. I mean, they kind of run the 3-3 stack. They go to a 4-4. So I think they do a really good job of giving teams looks and just being sound. They have really good gap integrity. They run to the football. And their offense do a really good job of keeping them off the field, I think that's the biggest thing is they kind of a bend but don't break defense, bend but don't break defense
Mm.
and they know that what they got going on because they're coming off from a whole lot of momentum from last year as well. And so I think they are very good defensively. And so we definitely got our hands full on that part because of course we have to travel and
Mm.
it's a Thursday night game. It's a short week. And so we gotta go see this is gonna I think this is gonna show a lot of character about our football team, Rick. I think this is a dangerous football team. That their only loss is against Deer Creek,
Right.
and I think that was between an 8 or 9 point score difference. And we know what kind of program and what coaches are at Deer Creek, and I think very highly of those guys. And so they play each other every year. That's the last 2 years. That's who Memorial open up with. And so defensively, I think asking your question, I think they're just very sound and they give you different looks. And Drew has got to be on top of his game this week because he's gonna get maybe 2 to 3 different looks from fronts and secondary looks. And they spend some time on their defense. They do it well.
What do they do offensively?
Man, that quarterback, he's obviously special. Drew kind of took it personal as he should. And I said, man, I think this is one of the best quarterbacks in the state, if not the best. And I'm being honest. I said, Drew, you get there, And so, anyways, man, he's just that young man. He's fast. He's the leader. He has a little swagger about himself that's really dangerous in a humbling way. They have a really good tailback as well. So when you got to defend the pass because of his armor so well, and then you got to defend his legs as a
Mm.
quarterback, he kind of keeps you a little bit off balance. So you got to be just locked in, and he can roll. He sprints out one way, and he can throw it across his body 50 yards in the air. He's just a special young man. And defensively, we got to do a really good job in our back pedal. We got to keep our eyes on our work and be very disciplined with your eyes. And the biggest thing is we got to stop the run. So we got to make them one dimensional, and I prefer to make them take away the passing game because that's
Mm.
what the guy does best for us. So we just
Yeah.
got to do a good job of keeping him off balance and keeping pressure and giving him different kind of looks this
You
week.
mentioned it's Thursday. It's down the pike. I've been a lot of those too when you go in those
Hmm.
Thursday games, and it's fall break, so it shouldn't be hard, but there's something about those Thursday games down the road that just have always been harder. Why is that? And
Yeah.
how do you adjust your schedule?
Man, I think the biggest thing is that first of all, it's fall break, so a lot of people are out of town. It's just weird. You're short a day, you're short a week, and for us, our student sessions, most of our kids going to be on maybe out of town or hanging out with family. So we got to go down there and create our own energy on the sideline between us. And so they usually well, not Memorial since they kind of built these new fields, but there's always that the track and the stands. So there's a huge space.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you just gotta go down there and be able to create your own energy and you better come out on fire. And I told our players that when we step off the bus, Rick, we're 14 behind. We're 14 points behind right off the bus because that's just how it is. And so you have to get ready, get going. And so that's our motto going into this game. We're 14 points behind, and we got to come out fast and get going and play catch up. And once we score 14, now we tied up. So, because I hate to say this, but the West Side refs are different from the East Side refs.
Yeah.
And it's just by experience and you're going on the travel, you're traveling and on the Thursday night. So yeah, you 14 points behind. Um, and when you get off that bus. So you better get going.
Take a little attitude with you, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Well, I'm not surprised that you won't be, that you will do it. And I am happy that you did mention I'm dressed like an egg. I thought
I
that
wouldn't
might come
dare.
up. I thought that might come up in the conversation, but
Yeah, I wouldn't dare do that to you. Even if
yeah,
you was, I still wouldn't. Yeah.
it's actually
So
one
I
of my
got it.
Okie scuba shirts. So it's
Oh,
my
see,
one
I
of
didn't
my
see that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got my octopus on it, but I didn't even realize I had it on until I actually
It's
turned
okay.
on the camera.
Yes,
That's what
sir.
happens with friends. Well, hey, congratulations on another fantastic outing. I mean, you know what? I'm so fascinated by your group because they play so hard. They seem to be getting better, which is scary. I'm just I think the end of the year is going to be fascinating and fun.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Rick. Thank you
Travel
for your
safe.
support as well. You too.